All right, the 5-on-5, which in my mind is still the main event of Survivor Series, Team Raw versus Team SmackDown. This match to me, honestly, had a lot of surprises. To me, when I first heard about Team Raw versus Team SmackDown, I waited until after the first Raw and SmackDown, after it was named, to start talking about this match, even though I was so fired up for it. And even after the first Raw and SmackDown, the only people that we had named for this match was Randy Orton for Team SmackDown. Rumors went rampant over the next week of people who was going to be named to fight in this. People were thinking that we would see Shane, we'd see Daniel Bryan, we'd see a returning Kurt Angle, and I thought all of those rumors were bogus. I thought there was no way in the world that anything was going to happen. I thought that this was going to be filled out by Finn Balor and AJ returning their match from TLC with the Raw versus SmackDown affair. But both of these teams built really, really good teams in my mind, minus Jason Jordan. Being team captain by Shane and by Kurt plays in a lot to the upcoming Kurt versus Triple H match, which I think is going to be happening at WrestleMania 34 in New Orleans. I'm not saying that that's going to be the main event, but it is really going to be one of the big matches that is going to be on the show. When Kurt Angle came back to WWE, it was always going to be a rumor whether if they were going to let him wrestle, whether if he was just going into the Hall of Fame, whether if they were going to find a way to use him on TV. He went into the Hall of Fame, and on the very, I guess you can say almost next night on the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania, boom, GM of Raw. From there, they start this whole, son storyline with Jason Jordan. When Roman Reigns got sick at TLC, he was one of the guys they called. People said they called Cena. People said they called Jericho. They couldn't find anybody to get in there, and the one person that they knew that was going to be able to create buzz was Kurt Angle. People thought that Kurt Angle, there was no way in the world he would be medically cleared by WWE, who has sort of shut down past superstars as Edge, Mick Foley, Hulk Hogan, Daniel Bryan, but Kurt found a way to get it through. I guess his last few years of living clean, where he says he doesn't intake alcohol or drugs anymore. You gotta have the best wishes for this guy, because as of late, it was sort of iffy, what his future was going to be. And it's sort of sad now to change things and go over and talk about TNA Impact for a minute, but it's the only floor I have to speak on this is that basically now it's weird to be seeing Kurt's ex-wife married to Jeff Jarrett, and Jeff Jarrett now going through pretty much the same problems that Kurt was going through a few years ago. I don't want to point fingers. The only thing I can really say is that I hope that Jeff Jarrett gets the help he needs sooner than later. Breaking down this match of basically who built the best team. Team SmackDown looks freaking tough, man. I mean, they built a team of 5 baby faces, built around, the future and, legends of wrestling. You've got Bobby Roode, you've got Nakamura, 2 guys coming into SmackDown, debuting in the last year. You've got Randy Orton and John Cena, 2 of the biggest names in professional wrestling. I think that, I can't remember how many times Orton sold the title, but off my top of my head, I'm going to guess 12. You've got John Cena with 16, 28 championships between those 2 guys right there. Shane McMahon, a guy who's never held the title higher than the European title, but the best European champion we've ever seen in the biz, baby. Shane coming in there was a real surprise to me. People said that, after Hell in the Cell, that we would never see him wrestle again. It was sort of like when Vince McMahon killed off the McMahon character, saying that he was never going to wrestle again after the Bret Hart match at WrestleMania 26. But I guess they see dollar signs, and they think that they can pay off on the King of the Ring match of the past between Kurt Angle and Shane McMahon, when they really beat the hell out of each other. That was a big one right there. That's a really good team. Kurt Angle, he went out there and got, I guess you can say, 3 of the biggest names of Team Raw, not including Ambrose, Rollins, and Reigns. Reigns, who was out on injury. He wasn't able to use Ambrose and Rollins because at the time they were the tag champs and they were booked against the SmackDown champions, that being the Usos. So you can't really fault him at that, but you got to be thinking that an emergency meeting right now isn't being named, especially after, they can name John Cena to Team SmackDown on Twitter. Why can't Kurt Angle basically come out and say that, hey, I've changed my mind. Maybe it's not the best idea in the world to have Jason Jordan on this team when you've got 3 of the most elite superstars in WWE in the Shield. All 3 former champions. You got a Royal Rumble winner. You've got 2 Money in the Bank winners. All 3 guys have held their champions of their brand. And you got Jason Jordan on your team. And that's it. Doesn't make a lot of sense over there. But a lot of storylines that could play off on this, basically, of Shane beating Kurt. Maybe even, being the reason that Stephanie and Triple H come back to television and push their way back into Raw management. And Kurt is on the outside. I don't know what place he would hold if he's not the GM. Why he keeps showing up on Raw. That would keep you in the mood for a Triple H versus Kurt match at WrestleMania. But that is definitely going to be set up around there. But people are thinking that maybe Jason Jordan will turn on Kurt. I don't think that's going to happen. But I definitely could see the official turn of Jason Jordan. People are already starting to boo this guy. But at some point, he has to sort of, embrace the booing. And maybe even play off of the Lex Luger and Sting feud of 1995, where Lex Luger was playing the heel, but anytime Sting was looking, he was the babyface. But the minute Sting would turn around, he'd turn around and tell a fan in the front row to fuck off. It was a good feud then. I don't really remember how it panned out and how it finished, but something like that, honestly, would be really fun. The 3 guys, Strowman, Balor, and Joe, I wonder how these guys are going to coexist on their team. As you can remember last month at TLC, Strowman had his whole team turn on him. Last week on Raw, we had Joe and Balor in an all-out brawl before both being named to this team. So there is really no love, no chemistry to what is the Raw team. So we'll have to see how this pans out. A big thank you to John Cena for coming back and returning at the show. But I want to see what happens from here. I think that, a lot of these guys in this match have a bright future in WWE. The last year's Survivor Series tag match, I believe, went about 40 to 45 minutes, if I remember off the top of my head. So this match getting a lot of time. It would be really fun. Just hope that we don't see Shane, basically with his brains sprawled out all over the mat like last year when he, did that, coast to coast, but then got speared by Roman Reigns during it. So we'll see. Definitely Team SmackDown for the win, and we got to see how a lot of these storylines pan out.